Greetings, sentient beings. This broadcast is not intended for children. There will be strong language and adult themes.
Well, before I go off topic the next minute, several of my family were fishermen, so I've had quite a few fish fries.
Well, now, wait a minute. It's not Friday. How can it be Fish Fry Day?
It's Thursday.
It depends what time zone you're in.
Give it an hour or less.
It is definitely Friday for the Brits.
Yeah, but I don't think they do fish fries. They do fish and chips on a daily basis.
I recommend mahi for fish and chips.
Well, I like walleye as my favorite fish, freshwater fish to eat.
Well, traditionally for fish and chips, it's cod.
Yeah, and cod's okay. I got no complaints. But walleye, I just absolutely love. And if
I've never had
if you're
walleye.
out there and you haven't had walleye, if you're out there and you haven't had walleye, get walleye. You will not believe it.
Okay.
I've had fresh walleye up in Michigan. You know, my cousin bring it over when it only been like 3-4 hours out of the lake.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've had that.
That's how.
My grandmother
That's how I
had,
like my fish. I won't buy fish out of a store.
yeah, my grandmother had a bay in her backyard. My uncle went back there, fished, caught the fish. Like, maybe 2 hours later after cleaning it, we were eating it.
Yep.
You can get these fillets off of a walleye, 10, 15 inches long and a half, well, better than a half inch, maybe an inch thick on the big end. And they bred really well. And just, oh God.
Oh, yeah.
That's awesome.
I miss not living in Milwaukee because there's no damn fish fries up here that are any good. And Milwaukee had walleye fish fries all over the place.
Nice.
I've been searching for one around here. Surprisingly, we went to Red Robin last week, and I decided to take a chance and try the fish and chips there. And it was surprisingly better than I would have expected for that type of restaurant.
Yeah. Hey, I got to ask Stuart.
Really?
Well, they did at least use actual cod.
Stuart,
nice.
You touched a fish one. What was her name?
Jeez. Wanda.
Oh, I thought so. Okay, thanks.
The last time I had fish and chips is at this surf and turf kind of place, and they had pelicans hanging out right next to you.
Well, I missed that during Lent. We always used to be able to get a good all-you-can-eat fish fry.
Yeah, we had a place like that back home at Schwabenhof. Gosh, they'd been around for like 75, 80 years. And it was just all you could eat walleye and this huge basket of those really thin sliced onion ring things.
Yeah.
Oh, God, I miss that so much.
Well, where I lived up in Michigan, the American Legion would put it on. And as I said, I've had a tendency to forget to eat some days. So you go into an all-you-can-eat place when you haven't eaten in 2 days. You can make it worth your money.
All-you-can-eat place, yeah.
There used to be a place called Skipper's, which was an all-you-can-eat. They called it a quick serve thing because it wasn't quite fast food, but you went up to the counter, you grabbed your food yourself.
Back when I was in high school, I was on the swim team, and it was a tradition that if we really kicked ass at a swimming match, whatever they're called, the team would go out for some kind of dinner before we went home. And one day they took the busload of us to the Sweden House in Milwaukee. It's no longer in business. And this is probably why they had a smorgasbord, and the team went in there, all these hungry teenage guys, and they absolutely cleaned out the whole smorgasbord, just emptied everything. It was just gone in a half an hour. It was so funny.
Oh, there was this barbecue place around me. I'm not sure if it's still around or not. It was a couple years ago, so it might still be around. But they used to have, or still do have, I'm not sure, or baby back ribs on Tuesday, all you can eat.
Yeah, back when I was a teenager, you know, it was kind of a family tradition that on birthdays we would all go to Red Lobster. So we were there, and they had the all-you-could-eat shrimp days. So me and my three brothers all got the all-you-can-eat shrimp. And after we'd each been on like our fourth plate, the manager came out and said, "We're afraid we're going to run out of shrimp. If you will stop eating the shrimp, we will give each of you any item on the menu." So after having 4 plates of shrimp, we had steak.
Works.
Jeff, you ate Nemo? How could you do that? Was Nemo here or is she at the time?
I did not know Nemo was trans.
That
Yeah.
type
I
of
didn't
fish
think so either.
that type of fish that Nemo is able to change sex.
Yeah.
Oh, the clownfish do that?
Yeah.
Okay. I knew some fish
Oh.
could do that.
Yep. Clownfish is one of them.
I found out that the yellow or golden eels, apparently they are all born male, but after they grow fully mature, they all become female.
Oh, and Alex Jones is they're turning the frogs gay. No, they're turning the frogs trans.
I don't think frogs can change it or anything like that.
Yeah, they can. Yes, under certain conditions, and some frogs can actually change.
Oh yeah, I
Yeah.
didn't know that.
And apparently that was actually the whole thing that Alex Jones was going on about. Apparently the certain chemicals, there was some indication that they were causing the frogs to switch sexes.
I know that.
Though it's kind of questionable. So, excuse me.
There's like the big green tortoise turtles from the ocean that they drop their eggs in the beach, and depending on the temperature of the beach will determine the sex of the babies.
Yeah, well, it's actually the microclimate within the nest. Because depending at just the right temperature, all the eggs around the edge will wind up being female, but the ones in the middle will be like 1 or 2 degrees cooler and they'll be male.
No, it's just the opposite. The warmer it is, the male, there are more males.
Okay, I got that part inverted then.
You knew more than I did. Don't worry.
But yeah, that's also true of alligators, that the temperature of the nest will determine the gender of the hatchlings.
Oh yeah?
Yep.
I guess this would be a good
Yep, as
transition.
Soft Girl just said.
I guess it would be a good transition into what I was looking at just before we went live here. We were looking at structural MRI scan into the brain to determine biological sex classification. In those who are cis, the accuracy is over 94%. However, when they looked at people who are trans, the accuracy dropped to 56%.
Now, what was this? What's this test?
They're doing structural MRI data.
What is that? MRI is a test, isn't it?
Yeah, an MRI scan.
Yeah,
And
magnetic image resonance or resonant imaging.
And they're looking, and they're looking at the structural, just kind of looking at the brain in structure, with these MRI scans, and to see if they can determine the sex of the person.
Uh-huh.
And it was accurate to over 94% in those who are cis, but in those who are trans, or specifically trans women, it dropped to 56%.
Interesting. Very interesting.
Yeah.
I spend my day on TikTok, and there is a huge trans population there, and a huge hater population as well, of course. And so I spend my day watching these people, have these arguments about all the lies and stuff that the right wing's been shoving it in people's heads and things, and just how virulent some of the hate is, and how absolutely stubborn they are, even when given absolute facts. They won't accept them, and they just freak out when you refer to them as cis.
Well, they've gotten in their head that cis is a slur.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because they use trans as a slur. And it's just not that.
I would not be surprised if many of them took Homo sapien as being a slur as well.
What'd you call me?
You're a Homo sapien. Yeah. They're such snowflakes. They're so much fun to pull their chain.
I just don't have the energy for people like that.
So did you see my pictures, Perp, that I left on Discord from their blizzard?
No, I didn't get those yet.
Well, they're there on Discord.
Okay.
I was thinking that it was going to take a couple days for them to clear this place out after the storm, and I was wrong. Within 12 hours, everything was spotless. All the streets, side streets, main streets, all of it clean. I was very impressed.
That's pretty impressive. How much snow did you guys get?
15 inches.
Damn, they had it cleaned up that quick, huh?
Yeah.
That's the beauty of being in the north versus being in the middle of the United States to the south. Because when we get snow, most places are like, oh my God, what do I do? Because they don't get it very often. They don't have plows and stuff.
Yeah,
Just
you don't have to
just go spin out somewhere.
I've been in some of the southern states where you go by the DOT place and you'll see like 2 salt trucks and like 4 blades laying out there. And they're old and rusty, like they've never been used in 20 years.
But
they have them just in case.
When I spent a week down in North Carolina, I had to drive between Winston-Salem and some racetrack that was just inside Virginia or something like that. I'm forgetting a little bit, but it was all on these country roads to get there. And they had some really nice S turns and things like this, but they really carried a lot of camber. That the inside of the turn is lower than the outside,
right?
Like a NASCAR track, and
yeah.
And when I drove those for a while, I kind of like decided, well, I understand why these people can't fucking drive at all in this shit. If they got this kind of angle on their streets and it gets snowy, icy, you're not going to go anywhere. It's good. The cars are going to slide right off to the ditch.
Yeah, because you can't go fast enough to keep up the momentum. And if you do go fast enough to keep it up with the momentum of the turn, you'll slide the other way into the freaking, into the wall or something, into the cliffside.
Tobacco field. Into the
tobacco. Yeah, screwed one way or the other.
Yeah. Now the freeways, they have no excuse for that. They're just bad drivers.
Jenny, I am not finding your pictures.
Yeah. Sloth Girl, hi, how are you?
They're there.
Forever. Glad to see you.
You said you put them on the Discord.
You're feeling up to chatting.
So did you put them? Did you send them privately? Did you put them in one of my groups? What?
I thought it was in one of the groups. I don't know. I thought I put them in that main general whatever first channel, not your private.
I am not seeing them. Maybe they went to a different group somewhere. I'm not finding them.
Oh man.
Yeah, and Sloth Girl was
Jenny,
reminding me that after the stream, I have to go out and put our van out on the street because they're going to be plowing the lot in the morning.
Oh,
I heard Minneapolis got hit really, really hard, and I heard them talking on the radio today that they're opening up all the city-owned parking structures that people can come park for free while we clean up the streets. It's so bad.
Seems a reasonable plan to get all the vehicles off the street.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the best way to do it, or fight with it longer and have your guys out plowing longer. You know, that you'd lose more money that way.
Hey, Kitty. How are you doing?
I'm better.
Hello.
I actually did not hear until yesterday that you were in hospital there. So
Yeah, it was something. I mean, I had told you guys about the infection I had and the issues with the antibiotics. But it turns out that infection was basically because I had a 7.4 millimeter by 6 millimeter kidney stone blocking one of the ureters from my right kidney to my bladder, causing fluid backup, lots of pain, and they had to do surgery to remove it. And
7 millimeters, that's huge.
yeah, almost 7.5 millimeters by 6 millimeters.
For those who don't speak don't speak metric, 7 millimeters is close to 3 inches.
No, it's not
7
that.
millimeters is close to 5/16 of an inch.
Sorry, I dropped the decimal point.
Yeah, no. It was basically, I mean, it was a decent size stone, considering that the inside diameter of those tubes is only 7 to 8 millimeters on average. It was stuck, and so my kidney was inflamed, and lots of fluid backed up in there because it's supposed to drain out, and it could not do that. I had been feeling a lot of pain and something didn't feel right, and I'd planned on, going and getting checked out, but on Monday I called Michael, and I mean, I'll go to an urgent care if I have a UTI. Like, I don't care. Urgent cares are in and out. It's like, all right, sign the form, pee in the cup, they give you the antibiotics, you're done. Like, my kidneys hate me. I get, urinary infections all the time, so it is what it is. This though, like I have to feel like I'm dying to volunteer to go to a hospital. And I called Michael and I said, I need you to come home and I need you to take me to the emergency room right now. I was literally curled up in a ball on the bathroom floor, like puking and crying and feeling like I was dying.
I took my ex to the ER when she had a kidney stone the size of a grain of rice.
And I mean, it's good that I went when I did, because it had gotten to the point that they needed to do the surgery immediately. And it's a funny story. So for anyone who didn't see my tweets about it, basically I went to the ER and they were like, okay, so we're gonna admit you because this is, you need to talk to the urologist. They need to fix this. And they're like, but we don't have a urologist at this hospital. So we have to wait for a bed at another hospital. And we're going to take you by ambulance to that hospital. So I got transferred. I went at like 2 in the afternoon or 3 in the afternoon to the hospital, something around that. And I was in a room in the ER until 4 in the morning, or just shy of, when they transferred me over. And so I went to the other hospital and met, with the urologist in the morning, and they're like, I couldn't eat anything after midnight because they're like, we got to get you on the surgery schedule. But there wasn't actually room for me on the schedule because they were booked until 10 p.m. And so the urologist comes in and he's like, look, I can guarantee to get you on the schedule for tomorrow. I cannot in good conscience ask you to go all day without eating, because we might not get your surgery done until 10 o'clock at night. And I was like, I don't fucking care. I volunteer as tribute. I want this. I am miserable. I will gladly go a day without eating. I go days without eating because I forget. Like, fuck, to guarantee that I can have a surgery, like, bet. Like, abso-fucking-lutely. So he was like, okay, if you're fine with that. Then around lunchtime, they send up food for me. I'm like, I'm not eating that. fuck that. Nope, you fuckers are trying to trick me. I'm not eating that. And it was a good call because 45 minutes later, the urologist comes in. He's like, I can see you after 7. So I was like, awesome. So, but then they took me down around 4:30. But then I was in pre-op until like 8:15 or so, I think, is when they finally took me back to start surgery. And then I remember coming out of it, like my throat is still raw from the intubation because general anesthesia is a bitch. And they do shove a metal rod down your throat to establish an airway when they put you under. But coming to in, post-op, and like it's the worst feeling because everything feels so heavy and you're groggy and you're like it's like you're clawing trying to have consciousness, but it keeps fading in and out and you just feel so out of yourself, and I really don't like that feeling at all. But the surgery went really, really well. And the urologist said that, I could go home like right after, as soon as I woke up from, the anesthesia. But since it was already after 10 o'clock at night, I was like, I'll just stay the night and I'll just go home in the morning. So they released me the next morning and I've been recovering at home, but they had to put a stent in. So I have a tube right now connecting my kidney to my bladder. And then there's like little strings that go out the bladder and out because they need to be able to take it out. So it's basically I have a line running directly, all the way out. And normally he said he would leave them in for like 2 or 3 days, but because of how big it was and how stuck it was, there's a lot of inflammation, and he's worried that if he removes the stent too early, it could kind of collapse in on itself and cause a lot of issues like further on. So he's like, you're just gonna have to bear with it for longer. So I have to leave the stent in until Thursday of next week, which sucks because the stent being in there gives the same fucking symptoms as a UTI. So like a little bit of cramping and urgency and like discomfort when you pee. So even though I've been pumped full of antibiotics, I'm still on antibiotics. I've got 3 medications to help with the urgency and discomfort. I'm still fucking miserable. One of the medications they gave me is the prescription version of Azo, because over-the-counter Azo has aspirin in it, and aspirin's a no-go for me, at least until after the stint is out, because bleeding risk. And the other 2, one is one they give to people for overactive bladder, and the other is one they usually give to men with enlarged prostates, but it can help with like the inflammation in that whole general area. So I am on a copious cocktail of drugs to try to be a little less miserable. And I may be bitching and moaning about it because I hate like that urgency and discomfort when you pee, but it is leagues better than being doubled over in agonizing pain. Like I will bitch and moan, but it's still a vast improvement as to what it was. So
Your year has sucked.
Well,
Yeah.
I'm glad you got taken care of when you did, because it sounds like it could have been extremely serious.
Yeah, no, it very well could. If I had put it off any longer, if I hadn't collapsed, like I'm kind of glad that I started puking and collapsed, because that was the thing that urged me to be like, I need to go to the ER, rather than, trying urgent care again and another antibiotic, thinking that, oh well, it's just an infection. It's funny. My mom had it was different because my mom actually had cancer, but she had colon cancer, and like she had a fistula basically connecting her colon to her bladder, so she kept getting this recurring UTI, and the doctors just kept throwing antibiotics at it, but they wouldn't do a CT scan or anything. And my dad took her to the hospital and said, no, you need to do a CT. Something's not right. You've given her 4 different antibiotics. She's had this infection for weeks, and that's when they found that, yeah, no, she had colon cancer, and they had to like admit her immediately, and they had to do surgery and, chemotherapy and the whole 9. So, yeah, like sometimes you have something that it seems like it's mundane thing, oh, well, it's just UTI, but it could actually be something like worse. So don't be like me. Don't put it off to the last possible fucking second to get treated. And it's like I should know better too, because I have history with these things. Although I've had kidney stones before, never anything like this. They've always been small enough that they've either like broken up as they passed, or it hurt for a couple of days, but then it was fine. They were tiny, they passed on their own, they didn't need any medical intervention whatsoever. And the last one I had was several years ago. So, I didn't even think, that like that could be the issue. But as much as I'm bitching now, I'm just happy to be home, and I'm happy that, I didn't get sepsis or go into kidney failure, because both of those would have sucked.
Oh, I've got such a winner here.
Hey, Doc.
There is
But
no
yes.
actual science.
Yeah, when I was in the ER with my my ex when she passed that kidney stone, she at that point said it was a myth that there was no pain a man could feel that was worse than childbirth. That she said that was far more excruciating than delivering a 10-pound baby.
I can't really say, like, because I had a cesarean section, so like the recovery from that was awful. Like it hurt, like, because again, it's major abdominal surgery.
Well,
but
yeah, they cut through a lot of muscles there.
as far as like actual like delivery, like I never went into labor. It was a planned C-section. So like I can't say one way or the other, but I can say that this fucking sucked, and it is, not something I recommend. No, not good at all. Like, I'm trying to maintain high spirits. I really am, but it has been a really rough year, and
well, tremendous pain, and if you're in the hospital, like what, 16, 18 hours between when you got there and when they actually got around to doing something.
Oh, it was more than that. I went into the hospital Monday afternoon, and then I was released Wednesday morning. Yeah, so I spent Monday night and Tuesday night.
There, huh?
Yeah, I spent Monday and Tuesday night in the hospital, and then Wednesday morning I was able to go home. So it was exhausting. I didn't sleep at all while I was in the hospital because, one, I was in pain, even though they had the good drugs. When I was in the ER before I got sent by ambulance to the other hospital, they were giving me fentanyl. And that only made it bearable. So that should tell you. And then when I got to the ER, they're like, when I got to the room to wait for my surgery, they're like, oh, well, only the ER does fentanyl. We're only going to be giving you
Tylenol.
No, it wasn't Tylenol. It was Tramadol, Ultram, which it's similar to like a hydrocodone, like a Vicodin, so it's something. And then when I was down in pre-op, I had to roll over on my left side, which my left side is my affected area for my RSD, which is very painful, but there was so much pressure on the right side, I just couldn't. And so I rolled over on my side, and I'm just like, I got tears streaming down my face. And one of the nurses is like, are you okay? I was like, I need something for nausea. I feel like I'm going to throw up. Like, the pain is so bad. And they're like, okay, we'll bring you, some Zofran, and I'll get you some Dilaudid as well. And Dilaudid is up there with morphine, and they gave me quite a bit of Dilaudid, and that was actually the most comfortable I felt the entire time I was in the hospital, is when they gave me a huge dose of Dilaudid right before I went into surgery. And it made it so that I could like lay on my back a little bit more, but I mean, the pain was still there, but it was just way less. And that got me through until they brought me into the operating room. So.
Well, before the stream started, I got myself a naked pina colada.
Oh, I got 2 of those sitting in the fridge because, I need to get my nutrients back up after not eating. I threw up everything on Monday, and then I didn't eat anything, at all on Tuesday. And then Wednesday, I didn't. Like, I've been trying to eat, but it's mostly been just kind of grazing. I haven't had much of an appetite.
Yeah, a bit of a liquid thing would probably be a good idea at that point.
I did have I made Michael go to the ramen shop and get me tonkatsu ramen last night. So I had some tonkatsu ramen with bok choy and mushrooms and like thinly sliced beef, and it was very delicious. And tonkatsu broth is very nutrient dense, so I know my body needs it after everything it's going through and everything that has happened. So I was just like, you know what? It's gonna be tonkatsu. Like that's what I want. And
Nice.
there's a ramen place like well, actually technically it'd be right over that way. But yeah, so I still have some of the broth in the fridge. I'll probably drink it tomorrow. Just like warmed up. It's nice and comforting. I love tonkatsu. But yeah, I just feel bad. I was supposed to be on Kelly's stream. Like I do feel legitimately bad that I missed that stream. I was so
Well,
excited for it
You
too.
couldn't help it.
Well,
Yeah,
no, I mean,
no.
what better excuse than gonna be, under general anesthesia having emergency surgery while it's happening. And like no, she was lovely. Like she obviously wasn't upset and she was more concerned about me. I was like, hey, if they push the surgery off, then I can have, I can maybe like, still pop on from the hospital bed, try. Just like focus on you. And I'm like, but I feel bad.
Having trouble there, Jenny? I see you popping in and out.
Yeah, sort of, kind of. It's all better now.
Yeah, I'm due for a procedure at the hospital in 2 weeks. It's not a big deal, but they will be putting me out for it.
Yeah, I hate general anesthesia so much. Like, it really is just not fun.
I think it's cool as fuck. I know
Well,
most people don't feel that way, but I do. When I'm under general, when I wake up for the next usually just 2 days, maybe 3, my brain doesn't work quite as well as it should, and so I can look at things that have patterns. Like imagine a uh, an Oriental rug, okay, and they have all these patterns in them and things. I will look at them and I will hallucinate like I did when I was on acid, and see all those patterns moving and changing colors and all kinds of really great stuff. And it's just kind of fun. For a
no,
couple of
I
you
get
days.
that
just
kind of naturally.
you
Yeah.
remind me of a story when Michael was injured at work. They had to reset his foot, before he could have the surgery that he needed to try to fix it. And they gave him a fuck ton of ketamine before they did it, and he was tripping balls. And like I actually got a video of it, and whenever I need to smile, I literally just pull up the video of him tripping balls on ketamine.
I really like hallucinating. It's a kick to me. And
I
Uh,
don't. For me, any drug that I want, I don't want to hallucinate. I don't want to feel out of my mind. Like I want something that's going to alleviate my pain, maybe make me feel good. Like I think the craziest drug I've ever done that wasn't just, like caffeine, alcohol, weed, or something prescribed to me was one time I did ecstasy. And not gonna lie, I didn't hate it. It's not something I'd want to do constantly, but it was like the feeling of a warm, fluffy blanket. Like everything just was nice and happy and rainbows and sunshine. And I get why people do it, but it's one of those like I don't like feeling out of my head. Like even the pain medications that I take, like even when they gave me a fuck ton of Dilaudid in the ER, when they first put it in my IV, I felt like a warm flush through my body, and it felt kind of like if you've ever had the contrast dye for a CT, you get like that warm tingle throughout your whole body. I had that for like a minute, and then I was fine. I was lucid. I was not feeling like loopy or anything. Like pain meds don't give me that euphoric feeling. They just make me less miserable.
I
Yeah,
remember
see,
I remember the pain meds I was on for when I had my wisdom tooth removed. I was hallucinating on them. I don't know what they put me on, but I tried to sit at my computer, and each key on my keyboard had a little mouth on it that was moving. And then another time later on, I went and to visit a friend, and I was still on the meds. I went to the bathroom, and there was this cockroach on the wall. Oh, that looked like the size of a football.
I had to nope the fuck out. Nope, not. I don't fuck with. This is Florida. Like those fuckers can be like 2.5, 3 inches wide, and like
Yep.
if they get behind the fucking stove, like you can hear the. And it's like, no, it's fucking nightmare fuel. Fuck that. No.
It might have been.
Admit it. In Florida, they're measured by the pound.
Yeah, it might have been a real cockroach, and this hallucination caused it to look bigger. I don't know.
Yeah.
No, I just.
Now,
like,
see, I don't have any
oh.
kind of those wild effects on it. You know, the only, you know, strange effect for me is that I'm actually asleep for more than an hour without waking up. Now, to me, that's a weird sensation.
I had a weird sleep today. I was pretty much slept almost the whole day, so I'm pretty much awake now.
So, all right, like you guys will appreciate. I'm pretty sure you'll appreciate the first words that I heard when I came out from under anesthesia, and because you know men. Well, one, you know, because of the surgery they did and the strings that are still down there that they need to remove the stent at the office visit next week, they couldn't put a catheter in me. Because like the surgery, I don't have any incisions. It was all done through catheters. So good means a little bit less recovery. Not so good. Your pee hole's not really meant to, you know, take a bunch of shit getting shoved in it. Like it's just really not.
Yeah.
It's very uncomfortable. But for men, you know, they can give you like a little thing and you have your little hose and you aim it and you can urinate. Women don't have that. And when you have someone recovering from a surgery and coming out of anesthesia, you can't exactly get like a bedpan or anything under them. So they invented this thing, and it goes between a person with a vagina's legs, and it is basically like a tube with a cloth and suction. And the first words I heard coming out from under anesthesia was, "Hey, can you grab the cooter canoe?" And I was just like, "Oh my god, that's fucking amazing!"
They advertise those on TV up here. I actually, it's something I think I'm going to have to be using soon.
So it was basically, they're like, all right, you need to like, you know, you need to urinate. And it is such a weird feeling to be sitting there and like, they're telling you to pee the bed. And I'm like, I can't, like, my brain is just like, no, you can't do this. Like, you can't piss the bed. Like, you don't want to sit in the wet spot. It's gross. Cause I have a lot of kinks, but a piss kink is not one of them. So I'm just like, and I'm having to fight against my brain to like, actually do what I'm supposed to do.
I think I'd be doing the same thing.
So I mean, it was hilarious. He was like, you know, there's an actual name for these things, but we just call them cooter canoes. And I'm like, I fucking love that. Those were my first words when I came out from anesthesia to the guy was, I fucking love that. That's hilarious. But yeah, I thought you guys would appreciate that one.
Yeah, cooter canoe can be Stool's new word.
Yeah. And like then I went up to my room and I tried so hard to sleep, but you know, I've got like, not only do you have that thing there, but it's got constant suction. So it's cold and uncomfortable and you can feel the it's not like sucking hard where it's like painful. It's just a very uncomfortable feeling because it's always there. And then there's the tube that runs off from it, you know, going to where they're collecting, you know, this stuff and where the suction is. So then as like everything goes through it, it gets cold very quickly because it's a small amount of liquid, and once it leaves your body, it cools down. So you got like a tube and cold. It was just awful, and I felt gross. So then at 4 a.m, one of the techs came in and they're like, "Hey, you know, do you need anything?" I was like, I want to get up and go to the bathroom and I want to get rid of this thing. I can't do it anymore. And they're like, you sure you're okay for that? I'm like, yes. And then she's like, do you want me to help you take a little bath and get cleaned up? I was like, bless. Yes. So did like the whole sponge bath thing and then just like, you know, waited it out until morning rounds when the urologist came in and cleared me to leave. And then I had to wait for the attending physician to come in and clear me to leave, and then the paperwork so that I could leave. So I didn't end up leaving until like 11 in the morning. So it ended up being almost 48 full hours. Well,
Mm.
no, wait, 24. Yeah, 48 full hours that I spent in there. Which, I mean, considering I had to have surgery, that's not too bad. Like, but that is 48 more hours than I want to spend in the hospital.
A device that constantly sucks your genitals. I bet that was developed by a guy.
Probably.
Well,
But
no,
it
actually,
is
well,
useful.
I can't imagine them being able to design that device any other way.
It's a joke.
Yep. Well, Sloth Girl wanted to show off some of her latest craft work.
Ooh,
So
can't wait
now
to see.
she is making these crochet dolls now.
Ooh, nice.
Nice.
I really wish that I had the patience for crocheting. Like, my mom taught me
I like
at
that
least
one.
how to do basic crocheting, but it's a combination of, it feels like it takes too long to get any real progress done on something,
Well, you
and
can
I don't
also
like the
see
feel of the yarn like in my fingers. It's a weird tactile thing I don't like. I'd much rather work with cloth.
you can also see that this one is leaning against the machine that she uses for them. And this was actually a gift from Greg Hartwick. That basically the machine will just crochet tubes, and you can see that the doll is just a series of tubes joined together.
I think you can also on those make a setting so you can make panels as well, where instead of it going all the way around in a circle, it goes almost all the way around and then back
Yeah.
again and back and forth. So you
She's
can make
seen
panels.
YouTube videos where people do that. She hasn't figured out quite how to do that yet. It's something she's working toward.
My cousin was crocheting plushed animals and hats for Christmas.
Interesting.
She has done a lot of hand crocheted work too.
She does very nice crochet work.
Actually, yeah. If you people keep chatting for a bit, I can bring up some of her older work here.
I have a pair of her mittens and winter hats, and they're really lovely. Nice,
Aw.
tight, just but not too tight weave, and they're cute. So I like them. I think she should get paid lots of money.
I have a doctor's appointment in the morning, so I'm not going to be on too long, but I know everybody was worried, and I know that if I went through the whole hospital thing and then happened to bring it up later and people are like, "Wait, you had surgery? What?" Because I know my friends around here really care, so that's why I was kind of tweeting about it. Plus, it gave me something to do, while sitting there, and I figured, now would be a good time. Like, I've had a rough day, so it was one of those things, I figured I'd pop on for a little bit and, chat with my friends, give an update of how things were going, and, I'm okay. Everybody's really
glad.
nice DMing me and checking up on me, and I even had offers from some people to drive, down, and if I needed any help, if I needed someone to help take care of me while I was recovering. Fortunately, I have a strong support network, so I'm good on that. But there were people, in our community that offered to drive long distances to come down and take care of me. And I just there's some really good people in our community, and I love them so much.
Some of her older stuff.
Oh,
She
that
did
is
a
so
couple of
cute.
these little Among Us guys.
My son would love one of those.
It's
He
really
loves
neat.
the little Among Us critter.
And she did this otter.
Oh, that's so cute.
He's
I like that.
adorable. And she was doing these, they're called Weeby dolls.
Aw.
And, you can see all the stuff. These are all the ribbons that she won at the county fair while we were in Michigan with these.
Weeby doll.
That's amazing.
If anybody watches Cirrus's channel, if you've seen the plushie for Real Cirrus, Sloth Girl made that and sent it to him.
So you think you can
Oh,
make one of
wow.
those Weeby dolls of Trump and stick some pins in it?
It's got to be orange.
I like this one. This is Cthulhu Carl.
I like that.
That's pretty cool. And
Kitty?
if I wasn't feeling like shit, I would go grab Michael. Michael actually has a little like FBI agent Cthulhu doll, like a little plushie, in the other room, and it's basically Cthulhu in a suit and tie.
I have a Cthulhu plush.
Okay, I can try again. Kitty,
Yes.
I haven't DM'd you or anything. I'm not being rude, but I got banned from Twitter.
How'd you get banned from Twitter?
I kept calling Nazis Nazis and fascists fascists, and
Well,
I
that's
think
dumb.
there might have been a targeted I don't know what they call it, targeted complaint, where everybody complains about the same
Lame.
person on the same day, and so it looks like they get a lot of complaints suddenly, and then they get rid of you.
That sucks. I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
I'm appealing, so maybe I'll be back.
Fingers crossed for you. But no, like I mean, I didn't expect anyone to DM me, and if someone didn't, I don't like feel bad. I don't take it as a personal thing. Like everybody's got their own things going on. I just wanted to, say that there were a lot of people that did, and that I appreciate it. And it's been a rough week. It's been a rough couple of weeks. It's been a rough couple of years.
Yeah.
You've had a rough year, yeah.
And if it's not one thing, it's another, Like, I'm just hoping that the universe gets its shit together and I fucking get those winning lotto numbers, sooner rather than later.
No.
I mean, that or ascending to, become a deity. I could live with that too.
No, I want the lotto numbers.
Universe, bend over.
I mean, honestly, like, I still, am holding out hope that when I die, I'll get fucking isekai'd into, one of the fandoms that I like as my OC. So, like, fingers crossed I get isekai'd. That's my idea of heaven.
Sounds good.
Just pick your favorite fucking anime fandom, get isekai'd as your OC, and have at.
Kitty, I also officially started doing embroidery.
Oh, that's awesome. I'm so happy for you. Like, I'm always like so amazed, when other people pick up like hobbies and crafts and things. It's really good. Like, I haven't touched my sewing machine in weeks, and like I'm feeling itchy because of it, but I've been feeling crappy, so I haven't really had the motivation to do much of anything. So I've just been watching anime and like just kind of relaxing because I've just been really burnt out. Yeah, exactly, Sloth Girl. Like, I mean, that's kind of my thing. Like, I've had more tragedy befall me in my 36 years than I would say a vast majority of people experience in their whole ass life. So I would, like to at least get the good karma. Like, I don't care about afterlife bullshit. Like, let me get that, upfront like payment for all the shit that you put me through. Thank you, universe. Otherwise, fuck off.
Could at least take you to dinner first.
Yeah, right. Buy me a house, piece of property. Like, I'd settle for that, with how much I've been fucked. Like, that'd be a bargain.
I hope you win the Publishers Clearinghouse $5,000 a week contest that closes on February 28th. I know all that because I entered it myself.
I mean, am I the only one that like one of their like Mandela effects is that, Ed McMahon gave the Publishers Clearinghouse checks? Because I very much remember that when I was a kid, but apparently he didn't. He wasn't ever associated with Publishers Clearinghouse. And so I'm like, the Mandela effect, like, there's some like the Berenstain Bears, like it was, always the Berenstain Bears, not Berenstain Bears. I swear on my life, I had those books when I was a kid, and it was EIN, not AIN. So there's that one.
Ed McMahon was the spokesperson for something because I think I remember him associated.
Yeah,
with,
he was involved with some similar prize thing. I don't remember what it was.
I just I very much remember him as being part of Publishers Clearinghouse. Like I do, like from when I was a kid.
I think it's probably just because the spokesman they had a similar tenor to his voice.
Maybe. That doesn't explain the Bernstein Bears though. Mage, you're closer to my age. You remember it, right? It was EIN, right? Not AIN?
I never really paid that much attention.
Yeah, I could never spell, so when somebody tried to correct me, I just assumed I'd had it wrong all along.
No, Porpoise. If you look it up, Ed McMahon had nothing to do with Publishers Clearinghouse ever. And it boggles my mind because I very much remember that from when I was a kid.
Somebody do a Google on Ed McMahon spokesman and see what comes up.
But I'll probably only stick around for like another 5 minutes or so because it's almost midnight and I have to get up early for my doctor's appointment. But I did just want to spend some time with you guys, you know? I've missed you.
Yep.
I know I haven't been around as much, and I'm sorry for that. I just, like I said, I've just been really burnt out.
Ed McMahon, spokesman. I get Mandela effect on Snopes.
Yeah, it's crazy.
What? There's other people think he was with Publishers Clearinghouse.
Uh-huh.
Entertainer Ed McMahon was a spokesman for Publishers Clearinghouse. Status false, according to Snopes.
Yeah, no, a lot of people think that, and like I'm one of them. It's one of the Mandela effects that, you know, people have where it's like, you know, there are some people that believe that Nelson Mandela like died in
Yep.
prison, you know, and like it's basically a divergent reality or something. It's fun, you know, like, and it's kind of a harmless thing to just like joke and laugh and have a good giggle at. Oh, Mage. One thing I did do while I was in the hospital, Michael has the family subscription for Microsoft Office Suite. So I was able to work on my fic a little bit when I couldn't sleep. So I am currently up to 65,704 words and it's not done.
Nice.
It's
I was gonna-
120 pages.
I was going to ask you about that.
Yeah, no, it's 120 pages. Like, well, 126, but some of that's formatting because like I'm breaking it up by because I'm doing it in a first person where you're following the different characters, so you're kind of like in their heads while you're doing it. So then like at the start of each like section, it'll have the name of the character that you're following. So because of that, you know, I will have to break it up. So like some like it's only a half page and not a full page, but it is well over 100 pages and 65,000 words. And I want to write more, but I'm just so worn out after the surgery that I maybe wrote like 500 words today.
Only
If that.
500 words.
No, you don't understand. The first day I wrote 12,000. And the second day another 10,000.
Yeah,
Like-
Mage. 500 words for a writer is like a blink.
Okay.
It's like a
I can write
page.
that. I can write that just be trying to set up making a point. It's,
According to this fact check article, Ed McMahon was the spokesperson for American Family Publishers,
there you go.
doing
Okay.
commercials at the same time.
Okay, that makes sense.
So
then.
that's why you're associating Ed McMahon with the word publishers.
Maybe.
And it's thought that the reason where they got the idea of Berenstain or Steinbear, it was because the way they muddled it during the cartoon.
Yep.
Because the way
Maybe.
because
But
the way
I
they
swear.
yeah, because the way they said it in the cartoon made it sound like Berenstain, not instead of.
I swear I had the books though, and that's what was on the books because I had several of those books when I was a kid. Like I will die on this hill. This is one hill I will die on.
Don't die.
Well, I don't plan on dying. At least not anytime
Okay, we just got to
soon.
keep her from going up the hill.
I mean, nah, I honestly at this point, I'm just running on fucking caffeine, curse words, and spite, because like I figure the best way to take revenge on the people and things that have wanted to keep me down is to try to live my life to the fullest just to spite them. It might be a vindictive and petty thing to do, but if it gives me the encouragement to keep going, fuck it. I will gladly be a spiteful person because spite does not have to be a negative thing. You can channel spite for good.
Who's good?
Anyone's good.
Harmonica Man says Jack Palance died 3 times.
Oh, who's that other guy that it's like constantly like there were rumors about him dying, like it was like 20 or 30 times, like people have said that he had died, but he didn't. Like there was a whole like website devoted to it where it was like, has X person died yet?
There's a
He
lot
was
of
like a
people
B-list
that.
actor or something. Fuck, that's gonna bother the shit out of me.
They do that. They do that with a lot of actors.
No, but this was a very specific one. I'm gonna have to figure it out. I can't go until I find out. Hold on.
I don't know. I've never been a big fan of Spite. 7-Up's marginally better, but I prefer ginger ale.
Ginger ale is good, and it's pretty much the only soda they have in the hospital.
The hospital is also the only place I've seen Shasta ginger ale in like the last 10 years. For some reason, every hospital in the country has it, but you can't buy it anywhere.
Well, I guess they know their market then.
Well, I didn't come across the person you were talking about, but I did find the article saying that apparently your life really does flash before your eyes. They took a brain scan of somebody as they're dying.
Well, I've got the theory that you do have a kind of an eternity, because it's like whatever's the last thought you have as your consciousness blinks out will effectively be where your mind thinks it is for eternity.
I don't know how that's possible, but
It's called fantasy.
Well, I mean, you cease to exist at that point, so as far as you're concerned, eternity's over then.
pretty much.
Sorry, I missed something. Who's being replaced by clones? There's a really bad lag today between the StreamYard and YouTube, so the comments in the side chat are really delayed.
Oh, probably talking about that person who we thought died multiple times. They're just being replaced by clones.
Ah.
The one that Kitty's trying to look up.
No, oh my god, this is gonna drive me fucking insane.
Before I had heard about the term Mandela effect, though, when I did a novel about time travelers, I had basically used that concept. That like, it was kind of like, the model of the constantly diverging time streams, that every time a decision was made, it would split.
I did a story
But-
that got.
Well, I also had the idea, though, that, sometimes some of the streams that were pretty close together could wind up merging back together again. So that's why you would have people that have different memories of the same event, is because they had been different on different branches of the time stream before it merged.
Basically the same concept as Mandela
Yeah.
effect.
Yeah, but like I said, I hadn't heard of the Mandela effect when I was writing that. But So I had come up with a mechanism for it before I knew it was a thing.
I come up with the idea that God was actually some guy stuck in a time loop.
I've heard that proposed. Actually, that's kind of like how Red Dwarf says it. Red Dwarf has something about about him getting himself pregnant in an alternate timeline, and then going back and hiding the baby under a billiard table, and that's where they found him.
Basically, a guy with all this high-tech science goes back in time, screws things up, tries to fix it, ends up being his own father, or then as Jesus. This Jesus then ascends into heaven, which what people thought, which was actually him just going into the future or repeating the whole timeline over again.
Well,
Oh, God. This is going to drive me fucking insane because I remember there was an actual website and it was and then it was the actor's name, died yet. And so because this guy had so many like celebrity death hoaxes like about him that it was kind of a meme. And this goes back to like the early aughts. So, oh my, that's going to have me pulling my fucking hair out.
Most celebrity death hoaxes. Death hoax.
Like, and now it's become a trend because fucking Zoomers on TikTok are telling their parents their favorite celebrity died, and so now it's hard to actually find the information I'm looking for. Fucking Zoomers.
Yeah, I tried to search, and I just got a list of people it's happened to.
Yeah, I'm just getting lists of people, not any specific person.
Paul McCarthy, Jackie Chan, Marilyn Manson, Betty White.
Well, she actually did die.
Well, she did now.
Jack Black, Jim Carrey.
He was like a B-list actor, or
Why
well,
is
maybe not
SpongeBob
B-list.
SquarePants on this list?
I have no idea.
Wasn't Patrick Swayze or Kevin Bacon on one of those lists?
Probably.
I think so.
Yeah, Kevin Bacon's come up a couple of times as dead.
Wayne Knight. Clint Eastwood. Nope, I'm not getting anything.
I'll have to figure it out. Like, I'll do some Google foo when I'm not as fucking mind addled as I am right now. And when I discover it, I'll bring it up. Like, it's gonna be one of those things. Like, I'll be trying to sleep one night, and then at 4 a.m, I'll wake up with it, and I'll be like, "That's what it was," because that's how those things go.
Yeah, the brain is amazing that way. It has this tendency to hold on to a problem that's unsolved and work it in the background, and that's why you all of a sudden get this click because it solved it in the background and punched it to the executive orders brain.
Your fucking eureka moments.
But does it have to do it at 3 a.m?
I mean, it's
Sometimes,
like
yeah.
a cat with a plastic bag zooming around your house. Like, why not now?
I really think that's pretty damn cool. There was one researcher who thought that mechanism was what was responsible for people who had done LSD to have flashbacks, that the brain considered the trip an unfinished task. And
Honestly, that
yeah,
kind of makes sense. Like, in a way.
and so it would.
No, I don't think it was Danny
hallucinating,
Bonaduce.
so.
I want to say there was an L in the guy's name.
There was I forget who it was now, but was an inventor a couple hundred years ago that when he went to sleep, he always grabbed a big metal ball and hung his hand over a metal bucket, so that if he had an idea while he was asleep, he would drop the ball and wake himself up so he could write it down right away.
Like, I I don't know. I used to keep a notebook. Like when I was writing more, I used to keep a notebook right by my bed. So like if I woke up from a dream, or if like when I was in that twilight state and my mind's just kind of wandering, the way that I write, basically the story plays out like a film in my head.
Mm.
And so I might not actually know where the story's going, until I get there, but I'll see chunks of the story like in, a linear way. And so I'll get it, and then I'll put it to paper, like that section, and then it kind of continues on from that. So I'm just like chunking down bits of the story that are playing out in my head, and it'll either happen when I'm deliberately focusing on it, where I'm trying to like will myself to see more of the story, or when I'm lying in bed in that twilight state where you're not asleep, but you're also not fully awake. You're just kind of like in that floaty headspace where
Yep.
it's a lot easier to get into like that lucid, imagination type thing, and where you're not really dreaming. It's more like a daydreaming imagination thing, but you have a little bit more directive control over it. And that's where I would get some of my best ideas.
Okay, according to Wikipedia, possibly the most famous death hoax is Paul McCartney.
No, it wasn't him. It wasn't a Beatle. This guy was an actor.
Yeah, but as far as you're saying about the writing, I get mine like chunks like that too. When then I've got to try to figure out what order they come in and string the scenes together.
Yeah,
And that's mostly that. A lot of that time when I'm lying awake in bed between when I wake up and trying to fall asleep again, a lot of that is just having conversations with the characters where they're narrating the scenes to me.
yes, because they all live in my head.
Yeah.
And like I think that's why a lot of writers like seem to have mental illness, like even if they don't, like it's because you're not the only one taking up residence in the noggin. You got different characters and worlds, and like if you're not careful, I could see how someone could easily get lost to them, especially when you look at the world around us. I mean, honestly, they've done it in, some animes. Like actually, it's pretty common trope of like VR, like and like escaping into a virtual world. And I really do think that we're going to end up having, VR junkies, people that just decide that they don't really want to live in this world anymore, and they just plug in indefinitely
Oh, I'm
because
sure of it.
of
I can
escaping.
see people plugging into a VR and just winding up staying that way until they become so dehydrated that they can't function. I can see people just, committing a slow suicide that way.
I mean, we already have people that do that gaming, or doing other things where they're not, eating or drinking, and they'll die of dehydration, just while sitting there, not fully immersed. I mean, it would be even worse when you're fully immersed, where all your senses are engaged and, you're not actually cognizant of what's going on with your actual body. And like, I mean, honestly, though, I can't imagine it would be a terrible way to go. I mean, you're living your best life in the fantasy world until your body's processes shut down. I mean, it would probably be one of the most humane ways to go.
Maybe that's the missing fact.
Except as you're starving yourself and not drinking water to die.
Yep.
At some point you're gonna drop, but you're not gonna die for a few more days.
Yep.
But you're not gonna feel it the
But
way
that's the
thing
thing.
set
Like
up.
with this, if you are fully connected where you are shut off from your body, like you are not feeling any input from your body whatsoever while you're jacked in, you're essentially in a catatonic state where the only thing active is your brain, but it's wired into a full dive VR device. I'm not talking about the VR we have now. I'm talking about a full dive device where it is basically taking your consciousness from your brain and putting it into a digital space. And Like that's like the technology that I was referencing, and I do think that eventually it'll be possible.
I meant, yeah, I
Maybe
imagine.
this is the missing element in the Drake equation. That the reason we don't find other sentient species is it's not about ever developing interstellar travel. It's when you develop good enough VR, your species goes extinct.
I mean,
Maybe.
I could see it.
I suppose they could just hook themselves up to life support systems to not worry about it.
But you would have to have the money to do that, like those things don't come cheap, and you'd have to have staff taking care of it.
Maybe
Yeah.
in a social democracy, they would use tax money to help create a living hospice sort of situation where people go when they're fine, but the intent is to die, and so they're taken care of in the hospice while they're in VR.
Yeah.
Not a bad idea. I always imagined it being sort of just basically a machine that's pumping a dream into your head rather than it being generated by your subconscious.
Well, it has to be interactive. It has to be taking feedback from your responses.
Yeah, so if you're thinking like something like Sword Art Online, where they're playing an MMO video game, and they are able to interact with the world, and the world interacts with their avatars. Like in the first season of it, the game developer, and like this is a very, very early on spoiler, when they first launched Sword Art Online as the first full dive VR MMO, virtual reality, massively multiplayer online game, they set it so that once you jacked in, you actually could not leave the system. And he set it up as almost like a death game kind of thing, where it was like, in order for everybody to get out, somebody had to beat the game and get and clear the final boss. And if you died in the game, you died in real life. Now, later seasons, like it's, they still have full dive, but if you die in the game, then you just get a new character, and it's the way it was initially intended to work. But for the initial run of the game, the developer basically he rigged all of the devices to kill somebody if they die in the game.
I remember Smallville using a mechanism like that in their plot.
And then there's another anime. It's one of my favorites. It's kind of dark.
I could see a very dark AI thing like that if you die in the game, the AI just has robots that liquefy you to be nutrients for the players who are still alive.
Yeah. I mean, how do you think the people in the Axiom survived being in space that long in WALL-E?
Yep.
But there's another anime. It's a short anime. I think it's only like 6 episodes, and it is very, very dark. But it's called Rin, Daughters of Mnemosyne. And in it, there's a tree called Yggdrasil, which it always bothered me that they're pulling, the name Yggdrasil from Norse mythology, but then Mnemosyne is the Greek goddess of memory. So like the mixing mythologies, like I was like, just pick one, but I digress. So the tree Yggdrasil will bear special fruits, and if they enter a woman's body, she becomes an immortal. And as long as her fruit isn't destroyed, she can go through a jet engine and still actually, be incorporated. She will like come back from that. But so the show is following these 2 immortal women, and it starts in what would be around like say like the 90s or so, but then it goes further into the future, and they actually have those VR junkies where you've got people just like lying in hallways and corridors where they've just they called it I think Life 2.0 or something like that, where everybody just wants to go full 2.0 and just completely ignore the world around them. So while it wasn't like in Sword Art where it's more defined, where you have people going into VR, and some of them taking it pretty serious, with this one it was shown to be much more of like junkie behavior.
I could see the junkie thing that, even the level we're at now, I could see people, developing a serious enough addiction. that they stay in it to the point that they need a medical intervention.
Well, I
Yeah.
think the PR we have now is just absolutely boring. It's just boring to tears.
Well, it is, to some people, but to some people, who are stuck in a very boring existence, it might just still be so much better than the life they have that they don't want to leave it.
I would have like when I was still with my ex, absolutely. I would have I already did escape. I played World of Warcraft, fucking 16 to 18 hours a day just as some form of escapism to keep myself from losing my mind completely. And, I totally understand wanting to escape your reality.
Well, in Overlord, it was highly suggested that the guy who was jacked in is now Ein Zalgun. Well, he actually died while he was jacked in. At the same
And-
time, the server shut down.
Yeah. No, there were definite hints of that. It's like that's one of those isekais you're not getting back from. You're not getting the Kikyo treatment, or Kagome, I should say.
I get basically what you're saying, but I don't know the characters.
Okay, so an isekai is an anime where a character gets transported into another world.
It literally means other world.
Yeah. Lately, it's more often when they die. So Protag-kun meets Truck-kun and magic happens. And so they wake up in another world. Usually, a lot of times they'll be like super overpowered. It's like a male power fantasy. But then there are some that are, will subvert that expectation, which I think is great. And, isekai is a very broad genre.
Yeah.
But like one of the early isekais would be Inuyasha, where it is technically an isekai because like Kagome is going from modern day Japan to essentially like feudal Japan, where demons and monsters still exist. While it is technically still the same world, she is going through time and she's traversing a world with magic and monsters, but then she still gets to go back home to her modern everyday world. Whereas a lot of isekais, it's you die and then you get reincarnated somewhere. Like that time I got reincarnated as a slime, or Arifureta, or like hell, even Ascendance of a Bookworm. It is one of my favorite isekais. It's an amazing fucking show.
I want to be reincarnated as half cockroach, half Ron DeSantis.
There is one that I believe it's an isekai. It's and like they got reincarnated as like a spider monster in a dungeon.
Okay, I have to ask, why would you want to be half Ron DeSantis? I mean, a cockroach I can kind of understand.
I figure I just could really ruin his reputation.
He does a good enough job of that on his own.
And no, it wasn't a reincarnation one.
It wasn't?
It was
Okay.
a summon. They get summoned by
it
the
was a
god of the
summon.
world.
Right.
I saw an interesting meme somebody drew on Twitter that, what if somebody was like the offspring of a minotaur and a mermaid, but they just got the human half of each, so nobody noticed.
I mean, that'd be interesting.
The only problem with that meme was the minotaur had the cow bottom part.
Yeah, but it had the torso of.
Yeah, it had the torso, but it's still the legs of a hoofed legs.
Yeah, you could never get a good pair of shoes.
This is true.
Ankle straps just wouldn't work, It's
Horseshoes.
Okay, keep talking. I need to find some pictures here again.
All right. Well, I stayed for like 30 minutes longer than I planned, but I needed this, so thank you.
Hold on just a minute, though.
Okay, I will wait.
This is Junie's artwork, so we've got to...
Oh, of course. Well, if it's for Junie, of course.
Well, the avatar that I'm using now is one that Junie had made for me because Dick was redoing the shill sets, and he said he needed full-body avatars of people. So she had originally just done this one sitting. but then he said he needed the whole thing because she had originally only given me one from the waist up. Oh, where are they?
If I ended up in my into the overlord world, I'd want to show up and request a audience with Ainz and say, hey, Satoru, who is using his real name from his previous life. I bet that would get his attention.
Speaking of Satoru, or at least Satoru Gojo, that his eyes are, even before I watched Jujutsu Kaisen, when I was imagining my character Catherine in the story that I'm writing, which I've titled Blood and Bonds because she's a vampire, so it makes sense.
Mhm.
Like she has like diamond like eyes that are like basically Satoru Gojo's eyes. Like the first time I saw them, I was like, those are her eyes. I'd never seen eyes like that. I mean, hers are a little bit lighter in color. His are a little more blue. Hers are a little bit more like pale gray, but very, very close. It's the closest I've seen as far as like what I see in my head for her.
Okay, so anyway, sorry, don't mean to be pushing you off.
No. You're fine. You said to talk.
This is what Junie did.
I love it.
Well, and she originally did one barefoot, and I sent her back like skeletal analysis and things from a triceratops of what a triceratops foot would actually look like.
Oh, that's so cute.
So she did that, but then
he's boots.
And she had to make boots for it.
He's boots. I love it. It's so good.
So yeah, to get shoes for that, you have to have them custom made.
Yes.
I see. Boy, this takes a long time. I'm doing a thing called the woven wheel. You put down like 6 or 8 spokes of thread, and then you have to take the thread and then wrap it around them until you fill up the whole circle space that you got. And I'm trying to fill up a space of about a thickness of a quarter. And threads are very thin.
Yeah.
And it looks like it's not building up at all, but it is.
That's the thing with embroidery. It takes a lot of stitches if you're trying to fill in a big area.
Yeah.
That's why I don't think I would have the patience to really do that. Oh, Stu perked up when I mentioned mermaids.
I'm Perp. I'm gonna get a thing. I want to send it to you. I'll do it on Discord.
Okay.
I'll do it.
Doc, I've got a feeling the birds care. You got to stop floating them up out of their nests. Their eggs are freezing. Like,
Yep.
So Stephanie, you've been sitting there and haven't been saying anything?
Yeah, I've been sitting here and haven't been saying anything. I'm busily texting back and forth with Nate Smith.
Those are the eyes. Those eyes. Fucking gorgeous. And that is the closest I have ever seen anyone come to like the eyes of the character that is living in my head.
Mm-hmm.
You said what was the difference you said? Your character has a little bit different eyes.
They're just, his are a little bit more like sky blue. Hers are a little bit more like almost not white, but think like
they're more pale.
A gray. They're more like a grayish.
Okay. Gray. Yeah, that'd be great. Okay.
Yeah, they're grayer than his, but almost exactly that. If you were to just like turn the blue down just a little, make it a little bit more gray, that's what her eyes look like.
More like the kind of like the light on the head of the staff on my character here. Like
yeah.
Perp, it's in the DM on Discord between you and I.
Yep, I see it.
Okay.
I saw this on Twitter. I didn't realize that was your work.
Yeah, it was like the last thing I did before I got bounced.
All right, I will wait to see this and then I will go.
And I
I keep
really
saying
need
that.
I really
I
need
know.
somebody out. I really need somebody out there to create a second account, an account for me that you can give me all the password and stuff in, so I can log in on it, because I just can't. I can't set one up.
You know, Stool got himself banned from Twitter like 3 times.
Just make
But
a new
he's
email
back
account.
on.
Stool was explaining that though, that he had made backup accounts before he got banned.
Yeah,
Uh,
and I didn't have one. So if somebody could make up a backup account and then like just turn it over to me with your, and I'll log in under your own name, or we can change the name so it doesn't look like you, or however you want to do it.
Probably figure something out.
Okay, take a look at this, folks. What is it?
It's a playing card.
Perp,
It's
don't
a
give it
jack
away
of
because I know
knives.
you've seen it.
Huh?
Don't give it away because I know you've seen it.
Is it a patch? Like an embroidered patch?
Okay. Anybody else? Anybody in chat have an opinion?
You'll have to give the chat a bit. Like I say, there's a lag, so
Yeah,
it's going
yeah.
to take them a bit to see it.
I know, I get it.
I know, I'm just trying to talk to fill space so that chat has a chance to respond.
Yeah, I
All right, I'm gonna bounce out of the chat then. Folks, this is a tattoo.
That's a tattoo?
Yes.
Wow.
on an actual person? It looks embroidered.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really looks like it has the texture.
Yeah, no kidding. I thought it wasn't.
I
I thought it was an embroidery patch. That's really amazing.
like, as someone
Yep.
who does like that. Wow, that is like that is mind blowing.
Impressive.
Oh yeah. Oh,
I am stunned.
isn't that just amazing?
It's fucking incredible.
And I know it's it's not bogus, because in the I cropped it from a larger picture. You got the leg there and leg hair and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I was wondering what it was sitting on. Like, but wow, that's incredible. I can't even English. I was trying to say crazy, incredible at the same time. Like, and it just it just trailed off. Huh.
I'm taking it that's one that they did to cover up an embarrassing tattoo. Because, there's a couple of little random bits on the top edge, and it looks like one of them is half of a swastika.
I think you're really reading way too much into that. I think that they did it so that it looks like the patch has a little loose thread hanging from it, which is not unusual for a patch, just to add to the illusion.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Well, this
no,
is the
because like
tattoo artist I want to find so that they can do a tattoo on one of my hips. Like they've peeled the skin back and they're looking at my hip bone, and it's got its artificial femur in it. I think that'd
honestly, I already have my next couple tattoos planned out. I just, need money first. And one of them is going to be a big project. It's going to be some of my favorite characters from animes that I like that I'm going to get put on my right thigh. But the next one that I get is going to be on my arm here. It'll be a raven right here with the words Memento Mori written on my forearm. Because I'm a bitch for who loves me some Latin and dark death iconography in the macabre. So plus tribute to the Morgan. Maybe Maybe she'll fucking hook me up since the universe seems bound and determined not to.
Yeah. Well, the only tattoo I have is my late fiance's sigil. And at this point, the only one I'm planning to get again is that after Sloth Girl dies, her son and I are both going to get a copy of her sloth.
And I think that's super sweet. Like, all of my tattoos have, like, significant meaning for me. And I feel like there's nothing wrong if a
Yeah.
person wants to get random tattoos. Like, cool, do you. Your body is your canvas. Have fun. But for me, all of my tattoos have significance to me in one way or another. And I am very thoughtful in the ones that I get. There's really only one that I got that it was more of a whim, but it still is something meaningful to me because it was my treat to myself for my 18th birthday, and it was stars and moons. And I have always loved like celestial things. And I was still a practicing pagan at the time as well. So, stars and moons and the sun and whatnot had meaning. So, like, I don't regret that one. And like I said, it's on my
Yeah.
ankle. No one ever sees that one anyway. But even still, like, that's the one that has the least meaning to me. And yet it still has meaning.
Well, that's the thing, that if you're getting a tattoo, you have to think about the fact that's going to be there the rest of your life. So it better be something that continues to have meaning and continues to bring you
Yeah.
thought or pleasure.
Yeah, if I
Absolutely.
ever get any tattoos, it would definitely have to have some kind of meaning.
The only tattoo you should get to, if you want to have somebody's name on you, it should be Mom.
Your child.
That's better change.
No, your
no.
child.
I thought about getting the tattoo of my girlfriend from high school who died, along with a few other people who've died in my life.
Yeah, to me, pretty much it would only be for someone I was close to who died.
Yeah. Starting to feel it there.
Yeah, just a little. No, it's just,
Well,
sorry.
you've been through a lot. You need as much rest as you can get. I mean,
Yeah.
especially because despite everything you've been through, you still have to be Mom all the time.
Yeah. And I have to go to my doctor's appointment tomorrow, and I've got other shit I got to do. And I am just kind of spent. But, it'll get better. And I get to look forward to after the stent comes out. I will be meeting up with one of my friends in the community for lunch on the 10th of March.
Cool.
So, I'll be fully recovered by then. The stent will be out by then. And I'm super excited because they are coming into town for Free Flow, which is the biannual atheist convention that they do here in Orlando. And I don't have the money to go. It's not cheap. I would have liked to have gone, but it's none on the cards right now, and that's fine. It's fine. But since they're going to be in the area, I am actually going to go and get lunch with them, and I'm super excited for that because it'll be my first time getting to meet them in person, even though I've been friends with them online for years. So
It's always cool. Jenny?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you started to talk when I was starting to talk.
No.
Okay. I wanted to give you a chance if you had something to say.
No, I'm just sitting here quiet.
Okay.
Alrighty. But I will definitely make it a point to try to pop in to one of the two streams next week. The Wednesday one, it'll be the day before I get the stent taken out, so I'll probably just be chilling at home, eagerly awaiting the day to go away, so that I can go and get this over with. But I won't have a doctor's appointment next week, so then I could probably make next Thursday's stream a lot easier. Though I'll probably be feeling a little bit crummy after they take it out, because they do it under local anesthesia, and they basically are pulling it out through the hole they put it in. So I'll still be feeling a little crummy for a couple of days, because that's going to cause new trauma going through, but it won't be as bad as, the
Yeah.
trauma of the surgery and all that other stuff, but it's still not going to feel nice. So, your urethra is not really meant for anything but liquids. Let's just say it does not like it if anything but liquid ends up in there.
Is absolutely the case, I would say.
But, at least I don't have any incisions to worry about. So there's that benefit, maybe silver lining. I don't know. Doesn't feel like much of a silver lining, because I'd much rather a cut than a fucking sore urethra, but what can you do? Anyways,
Is it better than a UTI?
Well, here's the thing. The stent being in there makes it feel like I have one, even though I've been on antibiotics and I'm taking medications that should be helping it, but my body can feel that it's in there, and it basically just says, no, you need to pee every 5 seconds because we need to get this out. It's trying to essentially urinate out a foreign body, and it is very uncomfortable because it's not going anywhere until the doctor pulls it out. I'll let you know how that goes. I'm expecting it'll be, somewhere between catheter and kidney stone, like small kidney stone, as far as discomfort upon removal. But at least they're gonna numb me up first, so that'll help. I'm trying to be upbeat, but I am really. It's it is a very mixed feeling of I want this thing out of me, but I'm kind of worried about the getting it out of me part and how uncomfortable that's going to be, So it's I'm torn between, just get it out, and I'm kind of scared this is not going to feel good. And I've already been through so much. Yeah. I hate my body so fucking much. I think that is why my number one original character that I've made, I just slotted her, into a different world, but this character, her main fucking superpower is she's immortal, and she regenerates, and she can't get diseases or illness or injury. She recovers from anything almost instantaneously. So there's that whole tortured psyche thing of every person that she might have ever cared for or ever will care for will likely just die on her, and she's going to forever be alone. But she doesn't suffer from UTIs or kidney stones, or chronic debilitating illnesses. So it's a trade-off, and I don't know. I think I might be willing to make that trade-off.
Gonna really suck if she got ate and crapped out.
But no, with her being in the world of My Hero Academia, really the only two people that I think could actually kill her would be Tomura Shigaraki, because he can disintegrate anything, and I don't think that her regeneration would overpower his disintegration. And the other one would be Kai Chisaki, because with his overhaul quirk, it's very similar to Tomura's, but Tomura just deconstructs things, whereas overhaul can deconstruct and then reconstruct. So he can take a person apart and then graft them onto his own body. So it's basically breaking things down on a molecular level, and I think those are really the only two people I can think of that could actually kill her.
Well, One For All's power would be able to do it, steal her power and kill her.
He's dead in my world. So, but yes, that would be another one, that could do it. But as far as
or something that shuts her power off.
Well, that's the thing though, with the experimentation she underwent, she's immune to Aizawa. Yeah, it's a blessing and a curse, because she can't turn it off, which means again, if you were to say, dismember her and put her in a small box, her body might try to reconstruct itself, but then she would be stuck in that state of agony forever. And it's not the blessing you think,
Yeah, I've come up with immortal characters like that.
And it's kind of like it's a scary kind of immortality, because like even vampire immortality, like you could still greet the sun or be ripped apart and like lit on fire if you get sick of eternity. With immortality like this, it is just as much a curse as it is a blessing.
Yeah, a lot of people don't quite get that with immortality.
Like immortality
Yep.
that gives you an off ramp where if you get sick of it, you can pull the plug. That would be the best kind of immortality, but immortality you can't escape from, like that's kind of nightmarish. But then, my
Yeah.
character also has like DID, or something approximating DID because of like the trauma and torture that she underwent all throughout her, life. She has an alternate personality that, is there to kind of protect her. Like, it's a very complicated and tragic character, but she's also very sweet, surprisingly. And that's because the alter is the hard ass, so that she can be like the sweet, gooey inside, So you got the outer shell and then the gooey inside. But yeah, I like complex characters, and I like things that make you think, and immortality as a curse and not a blessing, I think is something, that really speaks to me, because like it's like the opposite. Having a body that fixes itself no matter what happens to it is the exact opposite of the body that I currently have. So it's as much a, living vicariously through one of my characters as it is, exploring what it would be like to be in that situation so completely, diametrically opposed to my own. But
So the best thing to be is a half elf. That
I
way you
mean,
get the choice.
honestly, even a vampire would be fine. Like a traditional vampire, either one that can walk in the sunlight or not, because there are ways to kill vampires. Like vampires are immortal, but not true immortals. Like,
Well, immortal but not indestructible.
exactly. Whereas
elves are immortal, but at least in Tolkien's Legendarium, elves are immortal, but not true immortal. They can be killed,
Yeah,
but
they
can be killed, but they are bound to the earth. They're bound to the world, and men, humans, are, according to the Legendarium, the gift of Ero Iluvatar to men is the ability to leave the world entirely and go who knows where.
yeah.
But we're talking Tolkien here, and he was a Catholic, so what the fuck? He dreamed all this stuff up.
He was also
But
a lot less pretentious than
the one wonderful thing about the Legendarium is it's very thorough and hangs together pretty well. Way better than the Bible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
Tolkien is what you would get if the Bible had a decent editor.
Yeah, exactly. Or a decent fucking author instead of text by committee,
Or an actual plot.
Or an actual plot, yeah.
Like Tolkien, I like, because even though like he was religious, and like you can sense some themes in there. He wasn't obnoxious with it. Like like my brain is dead. I can't remember the Chronicles of Narnia. The author that wrote that, he was obnoxious.
C.S. Lewis. Yes, he was incredibly obnoxious.
Just so fucking obnoxious.
And they were really good friends. They were really good friends. They had a sort of parting of the ways because C.S. Lewis was obnoxious. He just hammered people over the head with the religiosity of
it's like, let it be allegory, dude. Aslan
Yes.
doesn't need to be actual little Jesus. Like you could just let it be Jesus allegory, my
Yeah,
man. It's
yeah,
okay.
yeah.
And like
I do
the
ag- I
one
do-
atheist, Susan, and just she gets shafted. She doesn't get to go to heaven because she's a fucking atheist. Oh, fuck you, C.S. Lewis. Go
Yeah.
fucking die in a ditch.
I do agree
Well,
with I do agree with
you know,
C.S. Lewis on
another world that, you know, the perfect antithesis to both Tolkien and C.S. Lewis is Philip Pullman. And his Dark Materials, that trilogy was terrific, just terrific.
I loved the idea of like you know, the concept of having like a demon, and as a child it's more malleable and changes, but then as
Yeah.
you become an adult it settles into its final form. I thought that was really, really cool because
Isn't
know,
that a great conceit? That
it
thing
really
is
is.
wonderful.
Because when you think about it, like children are a wealth of potential, but then the experiences that they have and the things that they're taught and that they learn help to mold and shape them into the person that they become. And once you become an adult, like you really don't change much. Like you're no longer malleable, you're no longer able to adapt in the same way that a child can. So it absolutely is a beautiful way of illustrating, you know, going from that fluidity of childhood innocence to the rigidity of like fucking cynical adult.
No, I do agree with C.S. Lewis when he said about children in his books. A children's book that can only be enjoyed by a child is not a good children's book in the slightest, or something along those lines.
I mean, that's fair, you know, because you can write a story that can be enjoyed by, you know, adults as well as children. I
Yeah,
mean,
it's basically what I was getting at. You make a story that's going to be enjoyed by both adults and children, and you have a good story. If you make it just for where only children can enjoy it, it's not a good story.
yeah, no,
Just
and that's fair, but it doesn't change the fact that he was a
No,
fucking
pretty much everything else. Everything else he's a jackass about.
absolutely. Like Aslan is not Jesus allegory, he is actual literal Jesus. He's furry
Yeah.
Jesus.
Furry Jesus, that's a good.
Yeah, it's for Jesus, exactly.
I mean, it's really because like they even say like no, like there's another name for me in your world. Like, fuck you, just let it be allegory. Like you are so lazy. Fuck.
Don't get me started with Joanne Rowling either.
Oh my god, fuck her. Like, I'm so pissed because like I really, 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 really wanted to play Hogwarts Legacy because Harry Potter was really important to me growing up. And, you know, I devoured those books before she became an insufferable turf. And like it had a special place in my heart. And like the game developers worked so hard on the game and they're not associated with her, but because
They
she
started.
licensed
Have
it,
you
I just
have you paid attention to the symbology of some of the characters in that game?
Yeah, it's pretty awful. I mean,
It's pretty much a anti-Semitic game of Nazis and killing Jews.
I've heard that.
Yeah, it is.
I just saw
Let's be
the gameplay.
honest. You know,
I saw the
fucking-
gameplay and it just looked gorgeous. And like the game is like right up my alley of the types of games that I enjoy playing, but I can't bring myself to actually buy it because I don't want I mean,
Well, I would not. Here's my take on the great controversy that seems to be roiling the inner tubes, which Jenny hasn't seen because she's off of the Twitters. But so many people are losing their goddamn minds over the whole thing. It's like, I don't care
Okay.
about J.K. Rowling. I
Okay.
don't care a fucking whit about what that bitch has to do. But it's a very small ask, to be honest. Like,
Okay. One thing.
please don't toss your don't let her get a penny off of your $64 or whatever, half a penny. I don't
It's
care.
already pulled in 500 million.
I
Okay,
know, but it's a really small ask. It's not a big deal. I'm not going to think any. If you just can't do it, I will think somewhat less of you because it's a completely symbolic act. You don't have to do. You're not going to die if you don't play the wizard game.
Okay, one thing I do have to have an argument with this on this. Stop attacking people for buying the game. At least, I mean, I understand
Of
not wanting to
course, I'm not
give
gonna
money.
attack somebody, but I'm
Yeah,
not
but
gonna. It's a
that's happening a
very
lot though.
small ask.
That is happening a lot though. People are getting attacked for buying this game or playing this game or streaming this game. Stop that. It's making your side look bad.
Jesse Earl got vilified by just for putting up a video saying, "Here's why you shouldn't buy the fucking game," and with perfectly good reason. I love Harry Potter. She starts, "I love Harry Potter," blah blah blah. It's just it's a real disappointment that Joanne Rowling is a flying asshole and has decided to spend her life smothered in bile over the very existence of trans women. But hey, but here's why you shouldn't buy, because she spends her entire life smothered, hooking up with literal Nazis who are proposing rules to make sure that trans people don't have a life, and she gets vilified for just simply saying, "Hey, if I could make a little request, consider what you're doing when you support this stuff." I understand it's cool. I'm not gonna hate you, but here's one little thing you can do.
And that's why I didn't buy the game. Like, I saw her video
Yeah.
and she made salient points, and it's one of those things, like, it sucks. Like, I'm bummed and I'm salty about it because I love that, but I can't bring myself to pay money for that game, knowing, even though the royalties have already been paid, like, it was a licensing fee or whatever. So Joanne already made her money, regardless if it sells 0
Yeah.
copies. She already made her money, but
It's
it is a
not going to
symbolic
matter to
gesture.
her in the least. It's
Yeah,
not
don't-
going to matter to her in the least, and she says that in tweet after tweet. So, I'm laughing all the way to the bank. Well, good for you. If that's what makes you happy, good for you.
Yeah, she has
It's
been
amazing how
insufferable
heartless
about that.
she is.
Yeah, and she's not a very good author. I mean, I too. I was obviously a good deal older when I read the Harry Potter books, but they were kind of page turners. It's the quality of the writing's not good, except it makes you want to keep reading. So that's I
Yeah.
gotta say it's a pretty good book in that regard. But the slavery thing's an issue. The goblins are an issue. The stupid names are an issue. There's all sorts of stuff if you break it all down. And again, Philip Pullman, way better.
Well,
And I mean, it is.
I started reading them
Mm.
because I had a preteen daughter when they came out.
Yeah.
And so I was reading the first couple with her, and that's when that relationship ended. And then just my late fiance just loved to read anything. She really got into them. So it's like I read the first 3 with my daughter. I read 2 more with my late fiance. And it's like I loved them through the 5th book. And the last 2 books, I just felt something went off.
Yeah, I know.
They just didn't
a
seem
little
to
bit.
continue
Yeah, I
the
think
same
so.
story.
Yeah, the last book I would have done differently. I enjoyed the book myself.
The incredibly weird thing is it is very, very difficult for me to understand how the character of Harry, especially in the first book, and the story of Harry Potter, of how he came to be the child who wouldn't die, that spoke to me. The kid who lived in a closet under the stairs, and the child who lived.
Well,
That
it spoke to
to
me too, because
It
actually
spoke
when
to
I
me
was
tremendously, because that's what
Yeah.
that was the experience of my childhood.
well
That's
when I
and
was the age that Harry Potter was in the first book, I literally lived in a closet for 5 years.
so
And-
to see Joanne she's capable of writing this character and capable of providing the character with a history that is so particularly poignant for a trans kid. For her to go off and say that to cut trans people off from humanity as she does, or she's moved her whole trajectory started out like, I mean, it's kind of icky, blah blah blah, but she's moved it, she's ramped it up over the course of when she first got called out on it. She said, "Oh yeah, it was a senior moment. I said something wrong. I realized it was wrong," and then she just started doubling down and doubling down and doubling down. God,
She has
and
some,
went all the way down the goddamn rabbit hole.
from what I've read her of her own words, she has some interesting cognitive dissonance on this subject.
She hates men, and I can understand why, because she has a tremendous deep fear of men, and she thinks trans women are men.
Yeah, that's their big
basically
issue.
it.
Is that really what it boils down to?
Yes.
Yep.
Basically, yes.
Okay.
Like, all of it
I
comes
can
out of fear.
understand that. I can't quite, parse that all out, but
No, she had an abusive partner and either an attempted or a successful sexual assault. And she's got some serious fear issues with men. And if she saw trans women as women, then it would not be an issue. But because she cannot see the truth that they are women, she just sees them as men. It triggers that fear response. And human beings get incredibly nasty when they are put in a fear response.
She
That
was
explains a
also
lot.
cultivated. She was also cultivated. I'm sure somebody said, "Hey, Joanne, you really need to read Janice Raymond, the author of the Transsexual Empire." Wherein Raymond basically goes, the best thing that could happen to transsexualism and transsexuals is that they be mandated out of existence. Literally wrote that.
It
And I'm
does
sure
seem
she
she
has
was
read
radicalized.
all of that stuff. Yeah, I'm sure she was radicalized, because here's this famous billionaire lady with a whole oeuvre of well-beloved children's books. If we can get her on our side.
I mean, it is really shitty, because it goes from being something where it's in bad taste and, there was a time when she could have been reached like early on, I think, maybe.
Yeah, I agree.
But I do
agree.
think that she has been incredibly radicalized. And in a way, I kind of feel bad for her. Like, obviously, she's done so much harm that, like, I'm not justifying or condoning any of
No.
that. But, like, to have, your trauma and your fear exploited by others to make you a tool of their own agenda, like, that just, I don't know, that doesn't sit well with
have
me.
the same level of forgiveness that you do. She wrote that those books under Robert Galbraith's pseudonym long before Harry Potter came out, or
well, that's true.
and
That is
and
true.
Attitude About Trans People came out, and she absolutely trashed a trans person in that book.
Yeah.
Just like made them completely subhuman. So
I haven't read
had
that
the
book,
hate for a long time.
Well, now, would she see? I don't think she had her first Galbraith thing. I don't think had a trans character, but after this whole process began, she did literally write a trans character that was really horrible.
It was kind of it was a Buffalo Bill style, like Silence of the Lambs type thing, right?
Yeah. But regardless, she clearly had issues, and if she was, then that sucks. If she was transphobic from the get, that sucks. But I think she really was radicalized. I think she was. I think here's, it's, if you can find a key. This is why it's so fucking effective. All you need to do is poke that fear. Poke the fear, and just keep poking the fear, and suddenly you have, people up in arms about, 530 people in Scotland being able to get married and buried as the gender sex that they are.
Yeah.
That's all the GRA. That's all GRA reform in Scotland does, and it's just fucking stupid. 500 people a year, big fucking deal. And a nation is ready to tear itself apart constitutionally over it. That's crazy.
The whole thing is just scummy. Like, honestly, just like let people live how they want to live. Everybody deserves fundamental, basic human rights. And I don't really care who you want to fuck or, what you want your gender presentation to be or who you want to marry. I don't even care how many people you want to marry. As long as everyone's a consenting adult, I don't care if it's 2 or 20 people in a fucking marriage. Doesn't matter to me. I don't care. Live your life. Do you stay out of other people's business?
420 atheist. Could you explain that longer chat you wrote down there?
But I do need to go because it is now 1 a.m. and I was going to leave at midnight.
Yeah.
Well, you missed.
Well,
You
it
overshot.
is midnight.
You overshot the mark, but it's okay.
Only
Get
by
some
6
rest.
minutes. It's just 6 after midnight here.
But here it is
But
6
there.
after 1.
Yeah, it's
And it was
1:06 here.
Yeah.
Well, get yourself a clock that works right.
This is Florida.
Yeah, Mage and I are in the same time zone. We're
Nothing
Eastern.
works in
Central
Florida.
fuckers.
Yeah.
Well, this should
Okay.
this should give you some idea of JK's mindset. From her own words, ironically, the radical feminists aren't even trans exclusionary. They include trans men in their feminism, and because they were born women.
Yeah, which is such a fucking,
Okay,
I
so
don't know if you guys know. I don't know if
so
you guys
trans
know.
men are women, but trans women are women.
No, trans men are women. Trans women are men. I mean, in other words, she's absolutist, and a lot of these people are absolutist as regards. This was what the Trump administration proposed in 2018, that sex is immutable, observed at birth, can't be changed. That's what they wanted to write into the Department of Health and Human Services regulations in 2018. She's
All right.
absolutist in this. So
I
that's
love you
the way it
guys. I am
I love you
headed
too.
off before I
Later.
get dragged into this convo.
Okay.
Yes. Later.
Have a good night.
So what's this idiot news unit?
Yeah, I don't know who you're referring to there.
I'm just noticing because Richard Madsen is Beck's brother.
Where I know who you're talking about. Yeah, I know who you're talking. I was in that stream.
Did Richard Madsen make
Are they
this
back?
claim?
Are they back? That
Well,
guy?
no, he was saying news unit was reviewing himself. That was this correction. Was the next thing.
Yeah, but the guy's name wasn't news unit. It was Will something or other. Right?
Yeah,
Am I right?
I don't know who he's referring to.
I was in a stream with that guy who said I consider myself a male lesbian, and he was actually sincere.
Okay, I get it. I know who you mean.
That fucking guy. Yeah.
Okay,
Dave
a channel ran by Dave. Which Dave? We've got a lot of Daves.
I was in that stream, and he finally. Madsen is very, very patient, but even Madsen had enough and kicked him because he was just being an asshole.
Isn't he the guy that has his own? Isn't he the guy that has his own channel? Didn't he just do a show with Stephanie and other people on there?
No, that's Pine Creek Doug.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
Pine Creek Doug is Pine Creek Doug is sui generis. He's completely a different guy, and his issues are different issues. But the Dave guy is just a provocateur.
Gotcha.
I remember, I remember that conversation. And then there was this guy Will something or other, who was in there. Bree was in there too, and we were, Bree. As soon as Will showed up, Bree left. Because Will's issue was he was a cross-dresser when he was a teenager, and he thought of himself as a male lesbian. He was basically throwing fuel on the fire for this Dave guy who was just being a complete dick.
We gotta not give these provocateurs and these Nazis platform. It's just, you just got to stop it, and and none of this is going to change until you do stop that. Not you, anybody in particular in here, but that has got to stop, or we are hopeless.
Well, it's like medicine. The thing is, people with shitty ideas, you can make them look stupid.
I want to talk to him.
You can make them look stupid, and the people that are involved in listening will look at, geez, that guy's stupid, and that's valuable. The problem I have is with people who do actual malicious things, like Otangelo. That guy is nope. If I ever see that guy, if anybody gives him the slightest bit of a platform anywhere, I'm gonna call him out. That's why the ACA fell apart, or is in the process of doing so, because they didn't get it.
I like Daryl Davis's approach to dealing with bigots and whatnot. I don't know if you guys know who that is.
Yeah,
He sits down and talks to him.
Robert, you're right in that, but that doesn't mean we should.
He lets them talk to him. And he goes to Klan rallies. He's with them. He's a black guy.
Oh, jeez. Yeah, well.
And he's quite famous for converting people away from the Klan by just doing that.
I was talking with Jay Bundy. We've been hashing this issue out at great length, and with Pine Creek Doug, and all these other people. I wind up on various streams with mostly cishet straight white guys who let these people in, and they usually, if it's handled okay, they out themselves pretty good, so that the cishet white guys who let them in finally get so sick of the absurdity of it all that they bounce them. It's like, go away, don't come back. And so that's a function of education. You're not going to get people with the platforms need to understand how poisonous these people are once you draw them out. Once they start spewing their real bile, people start to realize, oh shit, I didn't realize how poisonous this shit is. And that's hard to do, and it's kind of a patient. Well, really? I mean,
well, if I had my own show and I was wondering about somebody like that, I think I would not put them on my show to learn those things. I think I would try to go to their show and listen to them there, not on a fresh platform for them to spew hate.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, you got to know what they're saying. That doesn't mean you got to bring them here to do it.
And there's a point at which, and it also does, as you say, it depends on whether it's your show or somebody else's. If it's somebody else's show, you always have the choice to leave. It's not your show. And it's a judgment call on your part. You want to be part of this conversation? Are you going to make headway here? Are you either going to convince the channel host or the people listening or whatever? Is it worth engagement? Because it does take a lot of energy to do this shit.
I think the only person I wouldn't want to interact with are those who are being intentionally dishonest, such as Kent Hovind.
Well, Kent, see, the problem with Hovind is that, I take the point of view that Paula G took with Kent. It's like, yeah, sure, I'll debate you. When you apologize for the stuff like the serious fucking damage, your ideas suck, and I'll talk to you talk about. I mean, it's like Paul and Hovind's kid are friends. They talk all the time. They disagree. They talk all the time. But Hovind's kid hasn't done half the shit that Kent has done in terms of real damage to real people in real time. He's in big trouble.
I was posting to one of Eric Hovind's tweets. So it's a shame that you went and became a con man like your dad.
Yeah.
Kids,
Paul talked to Eric, but he won't talk to Kent, because Kent has done real things.
Yeah, there's some really bad stuff going with Kent right now with his theme park there.
Yeah, about the worst thing that Eric Hovind has done was scheming his own father.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm not sure. He's done other stuff.
Did Jenny bounce?
Did we chase Jenny? Oh, okay.
There
she just got back again.
You're back. Yay!
So I wonder if he chased you off there.
No, well, yeah, everybody keeps talking about the same crap here. But other than that, no, the StreamYard is just laid out badly, and you touch, they got buttons that are too close to each other on a phone, and if you touch the wrong thing or your finger extends a little bit over the other things, all sorts of shit happens. It's just a badly laid out software. It's gotten rid of most of its glitches, but it's still badly laid out and operationally that way.
Not formatted for mobile devices.
No, they have not chosen to do anything real special with that.
Yeah, I don't see how anybody could work on such a small screen.
Because some of us don't have a choice.
No, I mean, yeah. I was just saying that I realize it would be really hard to do.
Yeah, I'm even on an iPad Pro. It's fine. The screen's not the issue, really. It's just the layout. And the software, the hardware is there, but the software is not. It only works certain ways with certain browsers, and your microphone can get all kinds of screwy if you're not using this browser, or blah, 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 blah. It's just stupid. It's not compatible, really. And that's Apple's fault. That's Apple's fault.
Okay, well, if things are simmering down here, I think maybe we should shut it down for the night.
I gotta say something, Stephanie. I can't blame Apple for that. Look at how well Zoom runs on a phone or an iPad. Look how well even Google, whatever it is, Meet, it works perfectly well, and has a lot more functionality and different things you can do that you can't do on StreamYards. StreamYards is shorting their own market.
Robert, I have never made any secret about being a size queen.
Well, size does matter. Don't kid yourself.
Fellas.
Sometimes big is too big.
I haven't found that.
Well, that's because you use the more flexible part. That's
Yeah. Well, and that's been one of my questions about the bottom surgery. But we're probably getting too personal here for a lot of the audience.
yeah, I suspect you're right on that.
My fault. I'm the one who took us down that path.
Perv.
It's okay, Purple. It's okay.
Hey, it's the only way I can keep the memory alive after all these years.
Oh, here we are. These little snowflakes are going to whimp about their absence.
Oh, it's snowing here, and it's going to get very, very, very cold.
We got 15 inches, Steph.
We've got
Yep.
got like 7 inches last night, and it's snowing now, so we're supposed to get another 4 or so. So, and then it's going to get like 1 below ish.
Well, currently it
Like,
is 2 below Fahrenheit. And when I wrap up the stream, I've got to go outside because I have to move my van out of the parking lot or they're going to tow it away in the morning.
Well, that sucks.
Yeah, so by 7 a.m. it has to be out of the parking lot. Well, they have to plow the parking lot and then I'll be able to put it back. So
Yep.
It's just the kind of thing you understand living in Minnesota. These things have to be done.
It's the kind of thing you understand living in Maine. These things have to be done.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, in Florida probably don't understand this.
And think of how much worse it's going to be once we all move to Canada as refugees.
Yeah. My target province is Nova Scotia because it's not far away. It's like 70 miles across the water, and it's on the water, so it's it's fairly similar to Maine.
Well, I know several Canadians in this community, and one of the things I've gotten is that most parts of Canada don't get as much snow as Minnesota does.
This is true. Saskatchewan's a desert.
Well, if I had my choice, it seems the biggest concentration of people from our community seems to be over by Vancouver.
And Alberta is a B.B. King song.
It's also a Gordon Lightfoot song.
Yes, Alberta bound.
Yep.
Glad to be Alberta bound.
And yes, I will have to go there on the way. I have to see the Royal Tyrrell Museum.
John
That's been something on my bucket list since before I had a bucket list.
John Prine used to put Milwaukee in his a lot of his songs because he used to hang out there.
Yeah, but it's definitely one of the things that, after I get my new name and all of my government paperwork straightened out, I definitely want to plan a Canadian road trip to meet a bunch of people that I know through the internet now. So basically, just go straight up north through Duluth into Canada and then just keep heading west until I get to BC.
Yeah, I think I'd rather make that western trip up in Canada than down in the States. Because you take 90-94 west and you got to go through these absolutely horrendously dangerous redneck zones where they just as soon kill you than look at you.
As I understand, Alberta isn't really great about that either. Alberta has been referred to as being the Texas of Canada.
Yeah, it can't possibly be bad as Idaho with their Nazi bands of Nazis. Well, I'm going to get going here, guys.
Okay, yeah. Well, like I said, I was thinking we should shut down here. So, you have any final words?
Hmm. Nah, just everybody sleep tight and watch out for the nasty storms if you're in their path. They're not very nice around here. And have a lovely weekend, everyone.
Yeah, I think we're supposed to be done with nasty stuff for a while here.
That's what they say.
Excuse
It's
me.
going back up into the 30s, upper 30s.
Yep. Yeah, we're
Well,
supposed to be sunny through Monday now.
we'll be expecting that fine weather over here. Maybe, I don't know.
Couple days, couple 3.
Yeah, few days. We'll go through our period of agony and then get better.
Yeah, well,
Feel
that's
good.
when I was living in New York. I could watch and whatever hit my friends in Minnesota, I know was going to travel along the Great Lakes and get to us 2 days later.
New York still hasn't had a big snowfall. New York City, have they?
No,
New York City hasn't. Buffalo got whomped.
Oh yeah, well they always do.
Buffalo got crushed. We haven't had a very snowy winter at all. It's been quite mild. We've had a couple of cold snaps. This is the second one. This one coming up, but it has been quite mild, really. And we haven't had a lot of snow.
All right. Well, good night, folks. I gotta go. It's
Good night,
peaceful.
Jenny.
Okay, good night.
Night.
Night. Stephanie?
Don't have much. Looking forward to whatever the show that we're cooking up for Tang for the 9th of March. Still working on that whole thing. And I don't know. I'll throw something up on my channel at some point. If I come up with something I need to rant about, I probably will. It's the way I'm looking at it.
Yep.
Well,
okay.
Well, I'd like to point out that Alex needs help getting to Germany.
Yep. I had
there's-
included that in the description here. I'm glad you brought it up.
There's their GoFundMe to help get them there. They need. Let's see. Currently,
1,400 is what the goal is set at.
1,400. They have $50 already. So if anybody can throw some bucks towards their way, please do so.
Well, and as far as living arrangements and such have already been organized, they just need the airline ticket to get there.
And as for my personally, I'm going to try and shoot for a Saturday at maybe 1 p.m. Eastern time, and for my first live stream on my Gardens Happen channel.
Okay. Good show.
Fingers crossed. Never done this before. I'm literally going to be pulling up the tutorial to figure out how to do this.
Well, I am just going to be doing my trying to do my Wednesday and Thursday each week. Some of those are going to even get cut short because between Sloth Girl and I, things are going to be incredibly busy with the number of doctor appointments we have. I'm, have a number of things that I've been trying to get seen for a while, and it's kind of like all happening in the span of the next couple of weeks. So, yeah, I'm going to get to see 5 different doctors in 2 weeks now. But hopefully something will at least get figured out.
Best of luck and good thoughts for all of that.
Well, none of it's like serious at this point. It's all pretty much trying to do some diagnostics. I will have one procedure on the 15th that they're going to have to put me under for. But even that, it's just the exploratory thing. They just want to look down into my lungs to try and assess the extent of the damage there.
Yep.
So, So yeah, it's nothing too scary, nothing I'm really worried about. It's just going to be very busy. Oh, excuse me. Okay, so with that, we would like to thank all the people who keep us going here. Robert X, who is shilling for me in the side chat now, longtime supporter of the channel. Kitty, who was here earlier. Skits Crasher, who has been amazingly generous, sending me a bit each month, has been the largest financial supporter at this point, in addition to sending cat toys from time to time. The Lavender Lady, I had hoped she would pop in. I hope she's doing all right, because when she was on yesterday, she was definitely in a lot of pain, and I have not heard from her since. So, Greg Hartwick, Southern Sail, and Vonrek. So, appreciate all the help you give us all. And we will see you all next week.
Later.
Bye-bye all.
Bye.